SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome to SuperTalk Outdoors, the show that every single Monday celebrates the outdoors in Mississippi. Again, because we're the capital of the outdoors in America. I'm privileged to be coming to you from the Foundation Studio right here on Biloxi's Back Bay. And I want to thank you for joining us on the powerful SuperTalk Mississippi Radio Network or on SuperTalk TV at SuperTalk TV. Or you might be watching it on YouTube or Facebook or listening on your favorite podcast. And so with that said, it is March the 20th, 2023. I especially want to thank our title sponsor for SuperTalk Outdoors, the Foundation. The formal name is the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife Fisheries and Parks. They're the only outdoor foundation that directly supports the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. They are a separate 501(c)(3) foundation, nonprofit. Through their financial support, wildlife and education projects associated with the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks are made possible. And then from time to time, the foundation will focus on important issues that affect Mississippi's outdoor heritage. And they show great leadership. For case in point, the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund that was passed last year, the foundation and the partners they were able to bring together, the leadership was just incredible. I mean, really one of the principal reasons we were able to get the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund together. As I've said many times, when you have a volunteer board like the foundation, you've got to have a dedicated group of volunteer conservation leaders there. And boy, that is definitely the case with the foundation. We'll be coming to the CEO of the foundation in a second. I actually invited him to join me. Don Braza will be joining me here shortly. But I wanted to mention a couple of things to you. A couple of shows that we've had recently. If you haven't, if you missed them on the radio, you can go to your favorite podcast platform and just put SuperTalk Outdoors in. You can go to YouTube. Do a search the same way, or you can go to Facebook to our SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page, which incidentally has tens of thousands of people engaged every week. We're thrilled that you're engaging with the show. It helps sort of extend the reach of the show beyond radio. And people are paying close attention. I hear from so many people, both inside the department, all over Mississippi, people who are dedicated to being part of the efforts here in Mississippi to really celebrate the outdoors in Mississippi. I had James Cummings on last week, incidentally. James is the executive director for Wildlife Mississippi, and what they're doing in that organization, if you look at their board members, they are a very, very strong organization. And they're lucky to have James Cummings as their executive director. James literally wrote the book on conservation. So when you want to have a conversation about the North American wildlife conservation model, which is really Mississippi's claim to fame in terms of the way we've addressed conservation. James Cummings is an expert. He lives right here in Mississippi, and we're really lucky to have him. I enjoyed that show with him. I had Ed Penny from Ducks Unlimited on recently. Ed also lives in Mississippi, but has responsibilities for policy in 7 different states. So he has such a great national perspective when it comes to conservation efforts in this state, especially as it relates to ducks and the flyway of the ducks. It's always cool to have Ed on the show. I had Delbert Hoseman on 2 weeks ago, and we had just a terrific conversation about what he's up to. He's an outdoorsman. He loves the outdoors. And we talked about the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund that recently named Ricky Flint the executive director. Ricky, incidentally, was on the show as well, talking about his early days as a new executive director from the foundation. Ricky spent an incredible career inside the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, and was if he had a claim to fame, it was the alligator program and his passion around that alligator program. But he understands how all the bits and pieces fit together. He's going to be an incredible executive director. But Delbert Hoseman reconfirmed their effort to get $20 million this year for the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund. They put $10 million in last year. They had hoped for 20, but they were able to get 10. And the number of programs that will be funded, I mean, the list is incredible. It's like $50 million worth of projects with incredible matching funds attached to that. So when you can take a dollar from the trust fund and turn it into $2 or $3, that's very significant. And one of the things that James Cummings says when he's on the show is he's really kind of an expert at understanding where all the buckets are as it relates to federal funding. So we talked about that. Yeah, I think the fund is really off to a great start. Hopefully we can get $20 million in it this year. I had a great exchange with the Speaker of the House last night, Philip Gunn. And he also is focused on the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund. And this is actually important because in a legislative session, when it's an election year, it should have been almost boring, or at least boring, bordering on boring. This was anything but boring. This was a heavy lift for our state leaders and the legislature as they focused on a bunch of different issues and have had a lot of success this year in the legislature. So I appreciate Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann and the Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, for keeping their focus on the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund. A couple other things I want to bring to your attention is I had Cuz Strickland on. Most people know Cuz Strickland really well from Mossy Oaks and his long-standing TV show. He's very active in social media today. And Daniel Hayes, and we did a review of the National Wild Turkey Federation national meeting where they sold, a vest there. I mean, listen, at the auction, and we had a terrific conversation about it. But they sold a Mr. Fox vest, turkey vest, for over $30 million. Listen to me, $30,000. And then more recently, I had Robbie Kroger from Blood Origins. Man, this guy's got an international perspective on why we need to be more focused on the hunting lifestyle and get our ducks in a row, sort of this anti-hunting movements out there. I always enjoy my conversations with Lake Pickle from the Primos team. Lake is passionately out there enjoying some turkey hunting as we speak. So, we've got great access to the ambassadors from organizations like Primos, from organizations like Mossy Oaks and others who are really out there representing Mississippi to the world. And through SuperTalk Outdoors, we get an opportunity to chat with all of them. So if you missed any of those shows, you can go to the SuperTalk Mississippi page. You can go to SuperTalk Outdoors at Facebook. You can go to YouTube. You can go to your favorite podcast and listen to any of those shows. I think you'll be glad you did. So now let's turn the page and move over to my friend, the CEO of the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, Don Brazel, someone that I admire greatly and enjoy when he's on the show with me. How you doing, Don?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. So listen, a lot of our focus recently has been on turkey hunting, man. The good thing, you come out of deer season, get a little bit of a lull, people start getting anxious about going turkey hunting. I had Adam Butler. I think he does a great job of representing the department as head of the wild turkey program at the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. I've had him on a couple of times recently. But man, when you talk to people like Cuz Strickland and Lake Pickle and Will Primos and the Hayes family, you get a real reflection of the passion they have for turkey hunting. I mean, this almost like religious experience. But you're a turkey hunter too, aren't you, Don?
Very much so.
So is it like that for you, a religious experience?
It's a sickness. Truly a sickness.
Someone said that he posted a picture. It must have been at Mississippi Whitetails on Facebook. Posted a picture of an open field. It was a trail cam picture, and it had like 20 turkeys in it, and a couple of them had just long beards that were almost dragging the ground. And he said, "I'm a deer hunter. I've never been turkey hunting before, and I'm thinking about going." And the comments were so funny, Don. The comments were, "Don't even think about it. Unless you want to change your life, don't go turkey hunting. You'll get addicted, and it will change everything." But
you almost didn't have me on this show today.
I know you actually said, man.
I will say this, though, the 26-degree weather sort of helped influence me to make your show, though.
Isn't that something, man? As I'm sitting here doing the shows, I mean, when I got up this morning, it was 30 degrees on the coast. 30 degrees. We've got our spring flowers out, so I had to go cover spring flowers yesterday. It was surreal having to do that. But, that's the way it is in March. The thermometer is a very confused object this time of year, isn't it?
That's correct. It is.
So have you had any good hunts?
I tell you, I went opening day and heard 5. Was very fortunate to hear 5. And it's in a place that's relatively close to where we live. So my son actually told me, he said, "Dad, do not go in there and get one of those birds. So I'm saving that location. So I'm having to travel much further away, but I sure don't mind it just so he can have that opportunity.
Well, it's kind of like that. I listened to a great podcast the other day with Cuz Strickland and his his grandson. In fact, I sent him a note and say I've got to get them on the show. But he had his grandson. He calls him Cranky, and he's a young dude. But man, for people who haven't, it's Fistful of Dirt is the podcast with Cuz Strickland. He does such a good job on that show. But he and Cranky, but he's a young dude and can tell stories and talk about the passion. Told a story about the devil turkey that they pursued over a couple of years and finally got it. So much fun. Hey, when we come back to Super Talk Outdoors, we'll continue our conversation with Don Brazel.
Mississippi. Leading the conversation on Mississippi's outdoors. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. We have my friend Don Brazel, who's the CEO for the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, the primary sponsor of Super Talk Outdoors. We appreciate you guys, Don, doing that. When we went to break, we were talking about the podcast that Cuz Strickland has out there called Fistful of Dirt. It's a Mossy Oaks production. And he brought his 11-year-old into the conversation. Cranky, people who know this story, they know Cranky, and he's got kind of a cult following on the internet. But again, 11 years old, but he's just got such a way with words. And to hear Cuz and Cranky have their conversation, it's a lot of fun. I was out cutting the yard listening, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. In fact, I'll have them. I'm shooting for getting them both on Super Talk Outdoors, so I can introduce Cranky to the Super Talk Outdoors audience who hasn't met him. But he's gonna go do some great things in his life because he has an incredible way with words. He's got a great memory. Really cool. Have you listened to that before, Don?
You know, I know Cuz, and if the kid is kin to Cuz, he's going to be able to tell a story. There's no doubt about it. And, everyone knows Cuz. He's been around a long time and has done a lot of great things for conservation and for hunting in general. Just the kid's going to have the trail already paved for him. So I'm sure he'll just overtake Cuz before it's over.
But, you think about these two companies, Primos and Mossy Oaks, and the fact that Cuz and Will Primos were together in the early days with that big heavy recorder and tape. Why I called the one of the first true reality TV shows was Cuz and Will Primos out there doing his thing, and then Cuz goes over to Mossy Oaks, and these two companies continue to evolve, and they become these outdoor ambassadors for Mississippi for the world. It's incredible what they've accomplished. And so anyway, through hunting the country and all of that history. Because when I send him a note and invite him to be on the show, man, he's willing to drop everything to join me here on Super Talk Outdoors. Same goes true for Daniel Hayes, and I've had Toxie on as well, and Will's there whenever I need him. I mean, it's just, we're lucky to have those guys, and I love staying in touch with them because their passion for Mississippi is so significant. So we're lucky to have them, aren't we, buddy?
Yes. You don't have any influence on getting one of those Fox vests, though, do you?
Say it again? Oh, yeah. No, I don't.
You don't have any.
Is that something, man? I saw a special Facebook post where Toxie said they were going to do one more limited run on them to give people an opportunity to have them. And literally, man, people are camping outside the store in West Point to be able to get this Fox vest. But the fact that they're willing to do that is a real indication for how much these brands are part of people's lives, not just in Mississippi, but around the country. And Mr. Fox and what he's done to inspire everyone, yes, he continues to now in his 90s. They think he'll maybe get another turkey this year. It's an incredible story.
Where he got one last year.
Yeah, he got one last year, and that was a string of them for I don't know how many years. That's been 70 years or however long it's been. I should know that number, but Just awesome. It's awesome we have those kind of people in this state. Hey, listen, the foundation's always involved in different stuff, but man, you guys have really grown the expos. You stay very busy. Actually, you have a big raffle that I heard about coming up here pretty soon. Tell me about that. Tell me about the raffle.
This will be our first shot at the raffle experience, but if you look at what Tennessee has done with their foundation for the agency, I think they're raising 1.8 million or so for conservation. So we're going to jump into that. All of our information will be out and tickets will be ready for sale somewhere around the April 3rd timeframe. We're shooting for the 3rd. It may be a day or two on either side of that, but all money raised will be put back into conservation, primarily through our Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, with the support that we do for their programs. And they do a lot of different things throughout the state, and most people don't realize just how many things they are involved with, but we look forward to moving that money straight on into them to help support those programs.
Yeah, that's good. Tell me, what's the raffle? What's it involve?
Okay. How it will work is you will buy raffle tickets for different packages. Okay. The packages that we've got a $50,000 voucher to purchase a Ford vehicle of your choice. That's the top one. Then moving on down the line, we've got an Argentine dove hunt for 8 individuals. We've got an African safari. We've got we call it the Legends turkey hunt, which will have Cuz on there, and also Preston Pittman, and also sponsored by the Primos group. So that'll be a good one, a real good one. The hunt will be up in North Mississippi. And then last but not least, we've got just what's called a outdoor package. It's got all types. It's got a rifle in it. It's got spotting scope, binoculars, a canoe. It's got an electric bike. I mean, antler shed deer stand. So it's just an accumulation of a lot of different things. So we look forward to getting it started and hope that everyone will come out and help sponsor us.
How much are tickets, Don?
Okay, it's going to be, it's incremental, I guess is the way you'd say it. The one ticket will be 20, 3 for 50, 6 for 100, and 10 for the 150 range. So you see how it's going to be. It is incremental with how many you get.
Well, as you guys get ready to launch that, we'll have you back on the show, and we'll push hard to engage people in it. Because as I say every week, or at least every other week, the foundation is the only foundation, the only nonprofit that directly supports the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. So, think about the needs of this organization. Think about the work that they're doing with wild turkey and alligators and deer, and the list goes on and on, ducks. And man, they can never have enough money. One of the things we're learning with it through the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund is that there's so many needs out there to help make our conservation and our outdoor enjoyment so much better. Then the foundation is really focused on that, focused on working with the department to help them fill gaps. They don't get all the money they need from the legislature to do what they need to do. And the foundation gets this opportunity to do it. So the money that's derived from doing things like the outdoors expos, from this raffle, and from contributions to the foundation turn around and go right back to funding education projects and conservation projects they're going to help put ourselves in a position where our kids and our kids' kids look back on us and say, man, they got it, and they left us a legacy that's going to be with us for the rest of our lives and for our kids and our kids' lives. It's exciting to be part of something like that, isn't it, Don?
It is, and we actually get to do some things that the state agency is not able to do. For instance, giving scholarships out to the scholastic shooting sports, the kids that are the winners of the state competitions, buying hunting license for kids, their first hunting license. We have bought, I think, as of right now, we've spent around $35,000 on purchasing kids their first hunting license, hunting and fishing license, hoping that they will continue that process down the line. So we get to do a lot of things that really benefit conservation in our state.
It is. It's so cool. So you can bet the bank that I will be spending more time bringing attention to this important raffle where you can get these kind of one of a kind things. You have a chance to do something really special. So as that thing is launched, I'll come back to you here on Super Talk Outdoors and give you more details. We'll post some stuff at the Super Talk Mississippi News website. We'll also do something at the Super Talk Outdoors Facebook page. But we'll engage you around it, and something I think you'll want to be involved in. So, Don, how are the expos going? Tell us about the
Very
expos
well.
you guys are involved in now.
We have a spring expo that we just got finished with the third week of February, and we've got a summer or fall issue of that will be coming up the July 28th, 29th, and 30th. So looking forward to it, and we grow each time we put one on. We continue to grow and continue to bring different things into the expos. So looking forward to that one this summer, and it will be tied in with another rodeo situation. So we're looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun, and as you well know, you get to see a lot of people you don't see any other time of the year. So can't wait to put it on.
It has really grown into sort of this, you can't miss event. If people want to know about ag products and equipment and hunting and fishing and anything related to any of those items, this is the expo to go to. And it really is cool because it's interesting. If I think about the farms that I lease, the relationship I have with the farmer, a lot of the things he uses in his farm work helps us in our hunting efforts and our conservation efforts. And it's a match made in heaven, isn't it?
It is, and we've been very fortunate to get to work with the crew, Andy Gibson and his crew working there on the fairgrounds, and it's been a great experience for us, and we look forward to continuing to grow it and bringing the products to the people. And
listen, Andy's been on the phone on this show many times, and he's super excited about that. I mean, he's been a great partner to have. Hey, listen, we're out of time, but this has been a great visit with Don Brazel from the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We'll see you right after this with Ronnie Daniels. Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I really enjoyed that conversation with Don Brazel from the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. They're doing some incredible work, and the money they raise goes to fill holes and create educational and conservation projects for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And as they get ready to launch that raffle with these very unique things that you can win, I'll be talking more about it here on Super Talk Outdoors. One other thing I wanted just to mention that we're lucky to live in Mississippi for sure. As I say all the time, we are here in the capital of the outdoors. I mean, we are the capital of the outdoors for sure. And one of the things that makes it so special is that the fishing here in this state all around. I mean, whether you're talking about freshwater fishing for bass and crappie to fishing the backwaters of coastal Mississippi. That factors into it. And in fact, when you get offshore in between the fronts, you can catch some beautiful wahoo and tuna. And man, we're really lucky to live here. And I like to have a focus on coastal Mississippi from time to time. And today's one of those days. I want to welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors my friend Captain Ronnie Daniels from Fisherman Guide Services. Good to see you, my friend.
Great to be here with you this morning. It's a lot warmer in this house than it is outside.
Well, look, for people who can't see, for the radio audience who can't see, of course, the YouTube and Facebook audience can, and the Super Talk TV audience can, but you have a little bit of a summertime look in your face with your nose. We've had some really good weather days, but then we've had some challenging weather days, haven't we?
We have, and my wife yesterday said, "You got sunburns." And no, baby, that's windburn. After having 2 or 3 days of being out in these winds and this cold that we've had the past few days, it'll take a toll on that skin.
Well, someone sent me a really funny thing. I can't remember, how it said it. I kind of alluded to it in the previous segment, but there's nothing more confused than a thermostat in March in coastal Mississippi because it can go from one extreme to another. Like, look at today. I get up, it's 30 degrees out. So I'm out there having to cover all our tropical plants, and what a strange time of year it is from a weather point of view.
Saturday, I had sleet falling on my truck. This Friday, it's going to be 81 degrees. We need to make a thermostat that just automatically goes from hot to cold. It'll turn the heat or the AC on.
In fact, I asked Ann to check for me what the weather was going to be like for next Saturday, because we're all running in a 5K, and something we really enjoy doing. And looks like we're going to have shorts weather. It's going to be, I'm going to be able to don the running clothes and so enjoy that run. But here we are, 30 degrees, and then you're talking about by next Saturday, I think in the upper 70s. It's just going to be beautiful. But that's coastal Mississippi.
Absolutely. I laughed at my son yesterday. We had our opening weekend of baseball, and I coached his team, and we pulled up and got out of the truck, and he said, "Dad, I really wish this was an all-star game in the middle of summer where we were having to carry fans instead of heaters."
Isn't that something? That is something. This is a good time of the year, though, when you can, of course, we have to contend with fog. We have to contend with fronts. We have to contend with wind. But when you get it right, man, the salinity, we haven't had too much rain, so salinity is not messed up. So you're able to get to some of these nearshore reefs, and, the drum fit, the black drum fishing and the sheephead fishing, and, of course, occasional redfish and speckled trout. This is really a fun time of the year to fish, isn't it?
It really can be. My kind of bread and butter, my comfort zone is speckled trout, redfish. But this time of the year, that really hadn't kicked off out there in the marsh where we spend a lot of our time. So I tell people we're catching whatever bites, and we're taking live shrimp, and we're seeing 6, 7, 8, 9 different species per trip. A little bit of everything. Speckled trout, redfish, drum, sheephead, like you said. The water temperatures jumped up early this month, so that those big groups of sheephead that you would normally see this time of year had already kind of started scattering out. We're still catching them, but they're not concentrated on that concrete like they normally are. And you talk about the salinity. I made a trip this past week out to Cat Island, and water clarity and salinity. Man, I'm gonna tell you, Cat Island looked like Florida water. I mean, 3 foot of water, you could see the bottom perfect. And we found a little school of trout out there. We caught some redfish, and it was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's this time of year, man. I walk out, I'm up here on Back Bay, and when there's not a lot of wind going across those flats, and we have a little bit of calm, and we allow that sediment to kind of settle down. I mean, it's crystal clear. I mean, you can sit there and watch redfish swimming by, and drums and sheephead and crabs are starting to move in. I mean, this is a beautiful transition time of the year when you hit it just right, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. And I tell people all the time, we've got an amazing fishery, and people think about other places and, oh, that place is great or this place is great. They can all be great whenever it's on, but one of the benefits we have is we're able to fish 12 months out of the year here. They're able to do that in Florida as well, but we get 12 months of the year fishing here. And, if you learn how to read the weather and react to the weather, you can have a trip of a lifetime on any one of those 12 months.
You mentioned to me before we started the show that you actually, talking about trip of a lifetime, you had a crew recently with a child that well, I'll let you tell the story. Tell us the story of that fishing trip.
So I had a guy, he called and booked a trip. He said, "Look, I'm going to bring a little boat down. Me and my son are coming, and we're going to put around in the bay a little bit by ourselves, but I want to take him on a charter too." And we were scheduled for last Friday morning, and if you remember, it was like 196% chance of rain Friday. And I said, "Bud, look, I mean, we got a 6-year-old. It's not going to happen tomorroor." So, but I'll try to get you in Saturday. And at that point, the wind forecast wasn't so bad. Well, woke up Friday morning. It was the prettiest day of the week. The rain held off till about 11 o'clock. So then I felt horrible. Saturday, we got to our first stop, and the guy asked me, he said, "Is this about as much wind as you'll normally go out in?" Because we're in the north side of the bay back here, and we are getting our butts whipped. It's so windy. Even trying to tuck into the north side, it was rough. I just looked at him and said, "No, I don't go out in this kind of wind normally." I said, "But I felt bad for y'all." So we poked around a few different spots and ended up getting on a little white trout bite, and the kid caught a ton of white trout and a little bit of piece of shrimp left on his hook. I said, throw it back out there. And the next thing I know, he is hooked into a sea monster. And this 6-year-old and I fought this fish for about 25, 30 minutes, and we pulled it out, and it was about a 40-pound black drum. He couldn't even talk. His dad said, are you excited? And he literally couldn't even get a word out. I mean, this fish is bigger than he is. So, I mean, that's the epitome of making lemonade out of lemons.
Boy, but you know what? You changed that kid's life. Literally. He is hooked now. I mean, he will forever remember that. And as an adult, he'll probably still have the same kind of passion and anxiety around catching a fish like that.
Well, Ricky, that's the key to it, is getting these kids excited. And that's one of my favorite, I tell people all the time, one of my favorite parts of my job is the people that I get to meet, because we're always meeting new people. And then the experiences that we get to be a part of. On the other hand, that's the hardest part of the job, because what a lot of folks don't realize, they think we just get on our boats and go ride around and have a good time. If I have a bad day at work, I just ruined somebody's anniversary, somebody's birthday, a trip they've been saving for all year. So, we want to make the best of it every time we go, because that may be an experience for some of these people. That may be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for them, and I'm happy to be able to be a part of it.
Hey, do you have a picture of that young man with that fish?
I sure do.
Well, you can show it to. You can just kind of hold it up, but also just send it to me, text it to me, and I'll post it at the SuperTalk Outdoors Facebook page. But Ronnie, and you can. I'll ask this while you're grabbing that photo. But one of the things that is so important is that the inshore charter fishing group. Look at that fish. That's a beautiful fish. A proud dad holding the fish, and the kid in the background. The fish is literally bigger than the kid. But we'll post that picture at SuperTalk Outdoors. But the charter fleet does a great job of staying, even with competitors. Y'all stay in touch with each other and exchange information so that you can make sure that you're going out and doing, having the best experience you can have. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you said a key word there. You said competitors. I don't look at it. I had this conversation with another charter captain last year, and it's not competitors. It's companions. It's partners, because we're all in it for the same thing. And I tell people all the time, Ricky, as long as a family or a group comes here, I don't care if they're on my boat. I just want them to have a good trip on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, because guess what they're going to do? They're going to go home and tell 100 other people that we had a great time on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And this network of captains that we have along the coast, I mean, we have got some great ones in past Christian, but we've got great captains all along the coast that provide different types of experiences. And for the most part, pretty much every one of them are doing a great job and putting forward a first-class trip for people.
Well, listen, I'll tell you why that is important when we get on the other side, but we'll continue the conversation with Captain Ronnie Daniels from the Fisherman Guide Service right after this.
Whistling that sweet soul for him. I said 3 Mississippi to this land called home. I'll breathe Mississippi till I'm dead and gone. Just carry on, I'll carry on.
We live in one of the best places in America to enjoy the outdoors. So let's talk about it. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have my friend Captain Ronnie Daniels from the Fisherman Guide Service, and we're just talking about, one of the things I wanted to mention is that in a recent, not recent, it's been a few years ago actually. We like to go down to Key West. I love being down there, and we've had good experiences and not so good experiences with charter captains. But I guess you can catch any charter captain on a bad day. But we went sail fishing, and he knew that we were very experienced fishermen, and that gave him a little bit of interest. But an hour or two into the experience, you could tell he was just really ready to get back to the dock. I mean, he wasn't really interested in giving us a great experience. And one of the things that I noticed about you and others that I have on the show is that you guys seem to be really understanding what you said a few minutes ago, and that is that if you don't have a good experience, that you might have spoiled someone's birthday or anniversary or some special some special event that they've been saving up for all year long. You seem to get that, and maybe that's part of the coastal Mississippi sort of hospitality. Maybe that's that thing in our DNA that likes to connect with people. But there's going to always be an exception to the rule. But the charter boat fleet in general really gets that, don't they?
Well, the successful ones do. And I'm gonna tell you one thing right now: if you're not a people person, find something else to do, because this isn't gonna work out for you. And I'm gonna quote a captain that's worked with us for years on two different things that he said over the years. And one day we were talking about pricing, and we've always been a little bit more than a lot of other people. And Mike said, charge what you're worth and give the people exactly what they pay for. And that really stuck with me that day whenever we were having that conversation. That's Captain Mike Freeman that's been working with us for years. And another one that he threw out there one day that I really kind of got a kick out of, he said, being a charter captain is just like going on a blind date every single day, but the success of that date depends on the weather and a wild animal.
Isn't that something?
More true.
Isn't that something? And if you have a bad experience, and a particularly bad experience, that is, as far as like maybe the fishing's not good or the weather turns bad, that connection that you have with people, your ability to connect with them, might be the difference between them having a good memory and not having a good memory, just because they know you were working hard and they know you had empathy and you really cared for them. That's the key to success, isn't it?
Ricky, I've had numerous trips over the years. 11 years I've been doing this now, and I'm running the boat in just thinking to myself, man, that was terrible. I can't believe I've even got to charge these people for this. I mean, I failed today. And we hit the dock, and they're like, that was the greatest experience of my life. That was so awesome. And I'm thinking, we caught 15 fish. What are you talking about? But we get complacent, and our fishing is so good here, and there's so much to do out there. It's easy to get complacent. And like you were talking about, in 11 years, I've been guilty of it. You get to running, and you get into that grind, and you're going, and all of a sudden you look up and you think to yourself, I'm not really doing what I should be doing with these people. I got to get it together and make sure that they're having a good time, because even if fishing is slow, the scenery and just being out there and having a good time, that's what it's about for a lot of people. The fish are just a bonus a lot of times.
Hey, listen, we were about 100 miles offshore once, and this little bitty bird, it had a yellow-breasted something. It little bitty bird lands on the boat, and it's just trying to get its breath.
I've seen that look.
And I came back and I took a picture and looked this bird up, and Lord, how mercy, the number of birds that are flying from South America to North America across the Gulf of Mexico, and so many of them actually come through Cat Island, these migratory birds through Cat Island. And Sonny Schindler, Captain Sonny Schindler, who was on recently, mentioned something about that when he's having a bad day, that what he's learning about nature and the birds and all this stuff, the photography that people like to do. I mean, good Lord, to have access to that and to know a little bit about it so you can explain that to people. Man, that's a dynamic part of the experience, isn't it?
Absolutely. Just something as simple as seeing a dolphin. We see them all the time. And if I'm trout fishing, the last thing I want to see is a dolphin come towards my boat, But you got this family from Utah or from Pennsylvania or, wherever. They've never seen that. That's like one of the coolest things in the world to them. And it's such an adventure. What we take for granted is just an everyday trip. I mean, that's an adventure of a lifetime for a lot of people.
It really is. Sometimes when the salinity gets super high, we'll see dolphins all the way up to Pops Ferry Road Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
What's interesting? No matter how many times I see that, no matter how old I get, I still look at it with the same kind of marveling as a kid. You know, I mean, it's just cool to see, man. We're lucky to live here.
There's so much here on this coast. You know, my best friend and I always laugh and say, we get to live where people want a vacation.
That's the truth, man. So for people across the state of Mississippi, you know, look up Captain Ronnie Daniels. You'll be glad you did. Anyway, it's been a great show today. Thank you for joining us. As I always say, stay safe when you're in the outdoors. We'll see you next Monday. God bless you.
Hey, thank you, Ricky. Y'all have a great week.
Till I'm dead.